Hey everyone, it's Tatiana, and today I would love to share with you how I spent my first $1 million. So many of you know that becoming wealthy is not just about how much money you earn, but rather how much you actually save. According to a recent census report, on average, Americans have earned $2.7 million over their lifetime. So it's not that earning $1 million is unattainable, it's that most of us don't save that money. And of course we have living expenses and are subject to inflation and all of that stuff. So for those of you who know me, know probably that I didn't spend my first $1 million flying first class or buying a fancy sports car or any kind of really luxury items, but rather I used that money mostly to invest. So I invested that money. I did use some of that money to travel. Last year I traveled to 18 different countries. I do love to travel and I enjoyed that experience. That's one of the major benefits of having an online business, having the ability to pick up your laptop and work from anywhere in the world. So I definitely took advantage of that. And I invested also a portion of that $1 million into myself. I'm a firm believer that I am my greatest asset. You are your greatest asset. And so the more I grow, the more I earn. And so I'm not afraid of investing into my own education, whether it's through books or seminars, workshops, mentors. I'm willing to invest in that because I see value in learning from others. And the more I can learn, the more potential I have in terms of earning more income and helping other people as well. So I also went to a Tony Robbins event called Business Mastery. Highly recommend it. It's not a cheap event. I think it's like $10,000. And that was an investment in myself. So my own education, yes, I invested in that. But the majority of that $1 million, I actually decided to invest it into the stock market. And so I was not an investor. I didn't really know much about investing. But when I looked at the ultra rich people, I noticed that a lot of them got wealthy through their businesses, entrepreneurship. But to get to that next level, to become extremely wealthy, they were able to grow their assets through investments. So obviously they're onto something, and so I wanted to learn about investing as well, because it's through investing that you can actually make your money work for you. And you may have heard this before. I know my mom used to say this all the time. It's the rich that get richer and the poor get poorer. And there's some truth to that. And the reason that the rich can get richer is because when you have money, you can actually use that money to make more money. And so you can use that money and spend it, and then it's not going to do anything for you. Or you can decide that, hey, I'm going to use this money and see how I can leverage it to help me earn more money passively. And so that's what you can do through investing. And so I didn't have any experience in investing, but one thing that I learned through my journey as an entrepreneur is that I don't need to know everything in order to get started. Oftentimes this thinking of I need to know everything before I get started is actually a way to prevent us from ever getting started subconsciously, because we have fear of actually getting started. So we think we need to know all the answers. But in hindsight, when I look at my own business and the company that I built, when I was first starting, I knew nothing about e-commerce, and had someone told me exactly what the journey would look like, all of the steps ahead of time, shown me the full staircase in advance, maybe I would have never gotten started. Maybe I would have been overwhelmed, or I would have felt like I don't know how to do all of this stuff. How am I going to figure this out? I'm not equipped to do this, and I may not have ever gotten started. So in some ways, my naivete was working to my advantage, because what I did is I just did one step at a time. Instead of seeing the full staircase, I saw one step at a time and just took that one step, and that eventually led me down the staircase or up the staircase. And so it's the same thing, that kind of the same approach I took with investing. In the beginning, it can be very intimidating because you worked really hard for this money and you don't want to just lose it. And by no means am I saying that you should not do your research. You need to educate yourself. You need to do your due diligence. But what I realized is that if I'm going to wait to have all the answers and be an expert on investing, then I'm never going to get started. And we all know that time is money, and the earlier we can get our foot in the door, the better. The earlier we can start our businesses, the better. The earlier we can start investing, the better, right? If we invested in Amazon 5 years ago, you know, we always wish we started earlier. So what I did is I started to say, okay, how can I minimize my risk? As someone who doesn't know much about investing, how can I minimize my risk? So I started investing and learning, through YouTube and through books, learning from Warren Buffett, who is a long-term investor. He's a value investor, learning about the different models of investing and just basic YouTube stuff. And then I decided, okay, well, I'm going to invest some money into the big 5 companies, right? These are the largest companies, trillion-dollar companies. They've got tons of money. They've got tons of assets. They are Amazon, Facebook, Google, Microsoft, and Apple. And so these companies are really big companies. And so my risk with investing into them is quite low. Like the chances of them going bankrupt is quite low. So I started investing in those, and then I also learned about investing in index funds, which helps to minimize my risk because I'm not just investing into one company, I'm investing into a fund of companies, and one of those index funds is called the S&P 500. So 500 of the top companies. And so I invested in that, and then also some bonds, and so some safe investments. And as I started to gain more knowledge, then I started to become more flexible and to feel more confident about investing into other companies and other asset classes. And so what I'm trying to say is that I think it's important to just get started wherever you're at, and you can make safe investments, and as you gain more experience, you can modify your portfolio. And now I'm happy that I did that, because this year alone, my portfolio is up 37%, which is good. And that initial $1 million that I invested has now generated for me hundreds of thousands of dollars passively, right? That's hundreds of thousands of dollars that I did not trade my time for. That's money that I did not work for. That's money that I invested, and those investments grew. I also earned dividends from those investments, and now I made my money work for me. So I made the decision that instead of just buying things, materialistic things that really in the moment they're exciting because it's new, we have a burst of dopamine. This is a neurochemical in our brain that fires off, and it's like, oh, this is so beautiful, I want to buy it. Especially as a woman, if any of you ladies are watching, wanting to buy the latest Prada purse or the latest designer stuff, it's very tempting to want to go and spend money on that, especially when you first start making money, because you feel like, you've been wanting that for so long. But what I would advise you is just to think long term. There's the short-term gains, but think about, okay, long-term gratification. What could I do with this money instead where long-term it's going to pay off? So in lieu of buying this $5,000 purse, I could put that $5,000 towards an investment that 5 years from now is going to appreciate, and it's going to help me get one step closer to becoming totally financially free. One step closer to retiring in my 30s or my early 40s. So it's like thinking it from that perspective. Now, having said that, you should still treat yourself. You should still have fun. You should still reward yourself for your hard work, because to make $1 million, like it just, most of us weren't born with a silver spoon in our mouths, so we had to work really hard to make that money. And you need to reward yourself for that in however way you choose, whatever you want to do. If you want to go ahead and buy a purse, go buy a purse. If you want to go and buy a watch, go buy a watch. But what I decided to do is I would set goals for myself, and if I achieved those goals, then I would treat myself. So for example, this Rolex here, this is my first Rolex. I bought this after achieving a big milestone in my business, right? So this isn't a cheap reward, but it is a reward. So when I look down at my wrist and I look at this watch, it symbolizes a big milestone for me. It's not just a watch, it's very symbolic. And these are things that I give to myself once in a while, because we do want to reward ourselves on this journey and pamper ourselves a little bit. But this isn't something that you go every weekend and you go and spend your money every weekend, because then no doubt you're just, that $1 million is going to go down to zero very soon. So by no means am I saying that you shouldn't buy any nice things in your life. I certainly do. I like to buy a purse once in a while and some nice things. But ultimately, in order to achieve the vision that you have for your life, are the materialistic things really going to get you closer to that? In my opinion, it's better to build a foundation for yourself, build up your portfolio, get it to a certain place where now that money's working for you, that 10 years from now you have compound interest and that money has grown significantly, and it's going to help you to achieve financial freedom. Now, on the note of financial freedom, I will say, if you're watching this video and you're thinking to yourself, well, I haven't even earned $100,000. Why am I thinking about $1 million now? Well, we all have to start somewhere. And I want you to understand the difference between getting rich and becoming financially free. Those are two different things, right? Getting rich, it's like, okay, what's the net value of your assets, right? But becoming financially free, the definition of that is earning enough money passively to pay for your lifestyle. So if your lifestyle costs you $2,000 per month, and that includes your rent or your mortgage, your car payments, your groceries, all of your living expenses, if it's $2,000 a month, then in order for you to become financially free, you need to earn $2,000 a month passively. Can you do it? Absolutely. Is it more of an attainable goal than setting a goal for yourself to become a multimillionaire? Absolutely. So let's start with becoming financially free as a priority. That is the main goal. And once you've achieved financial freedom, then you can set your goals to becoming rich if that's what suits you, if that's what you want. Same thing if your monthly expenses are $10,000 a month, okay, then your goal is to earn $10,000 a month passively. You can figure out how to do that. I share a lot of content on this channel that can help you learn how to build an online business to help support that, but it's not unattainable. To earn that amount of money is not unattainable. If you have internet access, you can do it. And so setting your goal to achieve financial freedom, I think, should be everyone's goal. I think everyone owes it to themselves to become financially free, because what that gives you is freedom. It's the freedom to not have to work another day in your life. It's the freedom to not be a slave to your job, to being on this rat wheel. And so you deserve to have the freedom to live life the way you want to live it. If you want to go out and surf all day, go for it. If you want to go out and volunteer at certain charities or travel the world, you can do that. We have one life on this earth, and you might as well enjoy it. And the way to really do that, to be able to live life the way you want to do it, is to achieve a level of financial freedom. So it doesn't mean that you have to get rich, doesn't mean that you have to become a multi-millionaire. It just means that you have to figure out what are your expenses for your lifestyle, whatever lifestyle it is. If you're living large, then that's your lifestyle expenses. If you are living in a mobile home and you have fewer expenses, then those are your lifestyle expenses. So for some people, it's going to be easier to achieve than others, depending on how much your lifestyle expenses are. But the goal is to do that. And you have that possibility. It's within your grasp. I believe in you. You can do it. I was able to do it. There's nothing special about me. I just learned from others. I just saw, hey, I didn't invent the wheel. I just looked at other people and saw what they were doing, saw that they had success with it, and said, okay, well, if you can do it, then so can I. And just took action, right? Just got started. Because sometimes the reason why we are not successful is because we don't give ourselves a chance. It's because we hold ourselves back, because we have fear of ever getting started. We have fear of failure. We also have fear of success. We have fear of, oh, what does it mean if I fail? What does it mean if I succeed? And so subconsciously we hold ourselves back in many ways. So my suggestion to you is to just get started. Just give yourself that chance to actually be successful. Because I'm sure that if you give yourself that chance, that you will follow through with it and you will deliver and you will create results in your life. And just have that belief in yourself. So as Warren Buffett says, don't save what is left after spending, spend what is left after saving. And so that is my message to you through this video, that, you know, if you've gotten to the place where you've earned $1 million, awesome. Or even if it's not $1 million, $100,000, whatever it is in your savings, I would encourage you to like hold that temptation of wanting to splurge and spend all of that money where it's here today, gone tomorrow, and actually think, how can I use this money to get me one step closer to achieving that financial freedom in my life? And I believe that making decisions on investing that money, investing it into yourself, investing it into real estate, the stock market, there are many ways that you can invest your money. But the point is, use your money to make more money. And so that way, you don't always have to be working for a paycheck, and you don't have to trade your time for money. So that is my message for you today. I hope that it encourages you, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know in the comment box down below. I'll be happy to answer them. But otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye.